Hello, my name is Stacey Dorrance. I'm your host for Music Matters. From children's learning to sing solfege, to Byzantine chant, to classical music, jazz, and pop, music really does matter. Can you imagine a world without music? There were 80 bands this year in the Portland Rose Festival Parade. What if all we heard as they passed was the sound of their feet marching in rhythm? Rhythm is a basic element in music and creates exercise for the entire body. Add a trombone or a flute, and here they come, teens, adults, marching band playing music. What would a parade be without music? How do we make music? Who teaches us how to sing, to play a musical instrument? My guests today are Tammy Inghusen and Theoni Gilmore, and we have 3 students who will also be sharing their music with us, Emily, Nathan, and Arnab. Let's find out who they are and what connects them to the musical scene. And we're going to start with Tammy today. Tell us a little bit about.
Thank you, Stacey. I'm an elementary music teacher at Findlay Elementary School here in Beaverton. We have over 800 students, so we have a nice large group that I teach. I've been there for 8 years, and this is 15 years teaching in total. I teach vocal, instrumental, theory, history. We do trumpets, clarinets, violins, dance. In my personal life, I'm a professional pianist and an accompanist, and I play piano for the worship team and choir at the Salmon Creek United Methodist Church in Vancouver, Washington. I've been a studio piano teacher, voice teacher for 28 years, and I started out singing when I was 3. I have a twin brother, and we started out singing, playing the piano with my mom, and we were considered like the Donnie and Marie of the 60s. So, and this was back in Montana, so we got to sing in the area. My mom was a piano and organ player. She used to play in nightclubs, and my father had his doctorate in music, and he was a trumpeter. So we grew up doing jam sessions and playing at the house and just, you know, all around music in our lives.
Very nice. Yeah. Theoni, you want to share with us?
Sure. Well, right now, what connects me to the music scene is that I'm a facilitator of community music events. But I was a school music educator full-time for over 20 years, and I still do substitute teach because I just love to be with kids. But I was raised in a very musical family, too. My mother had a 2-piano club. My aunt was a piano teacher, and both my grandmother and my mother's house, we had baby grand pianos, and we'd meet on one Sunday afternoon a month for a family dinner, and we'd all end up gathering around the piano and singing.
Nice. Very nice.
So music has just been important in my life as Tammy's, and we wanted to share that with other people. So.
Very good. I'll share a little bit about my history. Again, my parents, musicians. My dad's been the choir director in Denver for 50 years. My mom, the organist. I grew up wanting to be Karen Carpenter, so I got the Tinker Toys out with my sister, and we used to play band and sing, and so we sang together all those years. It was a lot of fun. We had an extended family with about 12 or 13 cousins, and we were all musicians. And we'd sing at different venues, the Nuggets game, different fun things with my cousins. So, and danced. Dance was so big there with disco and everything. It was fun. So, you know, music was definitely part of my life. And then one day I remember a priest asking us, you know, ladies, what are you doing with your talents? And we thought, oh gosh, I don't know. What does that mean? We're using our talents. They said, no, something more, you know, public or something. And then our husbands also had asked us that question. So my sisters and I formed a trio, which we called Ikona, which in Greek means icon. And we are a Byzantine chant group, and we've actually just finished our 7th recording. We're working towards our 8th. And mostly it's Byzantine chant, the chant of the Greek Orthodox Church. And we've done some contemporary Christian music. That little piece that you heard at the beginning was from our piano album. And so also love music, have been connected to it, can't live without it.
Right.
So, Lowell Mason, considered the father of music education. He was born in the late 18th century, and he really had an enormous impact on public school music education. He was a champion in pioneering music for the multitudes, and so I want to ask you ladies, how has music education affected your lives? You got a little bit into that in the first question, but
Well, for me, I took solace in music growing up. I had some really great teachers in elementary school. I started performing in groups, playing the piano for, trios and quartets. I also did band. I played clarinet. So I did band, I did jazz band. I was a pianist for the jazz band throughout high school and college, and I played band high school and college. My music teacher in high school was like my mentor. She was my role model, and I wanted to teach because she was just so awesome. She was an instrumentalist, but for me, the music was a therapy. It was a place where I could release, I could share joy, I could, help students. Even in high school, I was helping students. And then in college, in high school, I was being trained and selected for different choirs and bands in all state, all Northwest. And then in college, I started studying in Montana at a university there, and I had a professor that wanted to train me for the Met. So we tried that for a while, and my heart wasn't in that. My heart was more into Christian ministry. And so then I started doing a Christian ministry and participating in worship teams there. Composing, that was a big part. And I started teaching when I was a freshman in college. So I've been teaching piano, for 28 years. And it's just been a huge part of my life. And my college professor, Lien Hicks, became a mentor to me, as well as he became like a father figure to me. So the friendships I developed with my teachers, with my students, it has just been awesome.
wonderful.
Right.
Very interesting. Leonie.
Well, my ethnic heritage is Greek. All four of my grandparents came from Greece. So I was raised attending church dances, folk dances once a month. And then when I got older in high school, I found out that not only was my cultural, Greek culture, very dance-oriented, but so were the Mexicans. And then I got so intrigued with other cultures that when I became a music teacher, that was my focus with grade school kids. One year I'd hit North Europe. Next year I'd hit Africa. The next year I'd hit America. I would emphasize those music from those cultures. And I became very interested in multicultural education in the early 80s when it was first coming into the open.
Good timing.
Yeah, and so it's been a part of my life in one aspect or another, music from different cultures.
So now you taught, you said, for 20 years.
Mhm.
So tell us a little bit about that too.
Well, I taught grade school music, and like I said, every year I try something different with different ethnic groups. But now I substitute teach, so I still teach. So I've been in the teaching scene for over 50 years.
50 years, yeah.
And so it's just part of my life. I mean, to teach and to help to increase awareness of different cultural and traditions. And that's probably what made me start to help found arts organizations. I founded 3 arts organizations.
Wow.
The first one was international. It was the mission was to promote and preserve ethnic arts and traditions from all over the world.
Very interesting.
And the second one was just a Clackamas County Arts Action Alliance. So I helped international, local, regional, and then I thought I should do something in Wilsonville. So now I've helped to start the Wilsonville Arts and Cultural Council. So we work on community education, which is fun because I did school. My focus was school education, arts education for a long time, and now my focus is community education.
And still education.
Yeah.
And tell us a little bit about, let's see, are we going into that about public ed a little bit as a teacher now?
Yeah, and I try to encourage my students at Findlay to expound on whatever they have as their skills. We have some phenomenal pianists, violinists, we have dancers. I like to try to see where their interest is and go from there. Hip hop, rap, we've written rap music. We try to incorporate curriculum. We've done it on life skills. We've done it on whatever's current. I have some ballet students who, in some of our performances, will do their ballet. So I just try to encourage them. We've done plays, musicals. I have students that I train to run the sound. So kids who like to do the technical part, we train them to run the sound and the prompters and things like that. So it's a lot of fun.
Very good. I'll share a little bit about mine. I also, of course, sang in the choirs. As a child, I remember my music teachers. I remember music being something I looked so forward to, you know, participating and hearing that sound around me and feeling that rhythm inside. That was really always a big break for me in my day. Oh, it's music next, you know. And then as we went, I learned also to play clarinet in the middle school years, and it was neat. I got to be first chair for a while until someone came and knocked me into second chair. But it was a great experience to have to lead and model. And then in high school, as we made the high school choirs and the competitive choirs and get to tour, and all those teachers, they meant so much to me because they brought something to me that I really enjoyed during the school day. You know, sure, we did English, we did history, but music was what made my high school experience really a fabulous one. So. And then having parents as role models, you know, all along, you know, education and the parenting all came together for me musically. For me, I also am a music teacher. I'm at a Catholic school, and I teach K through 8. And I came through the back door in some ways because I didn't get my music degree, because I thought, why on earth would I major in music? I know music. Why would I go to college for that? But it is interesting that now I'm going and getting my credential, and I'm doing what I could have done. But so it's very, very wonderful teaching children the things that we all loved and enjoyed, you know, watching their little bodies move and their little minds, and their, you know, watching them react to music and express the music inside of them. So music ed is very, very important.
Well, and the other thing I think is neat with us as teachers, and we're forming our students, they can use that to get scholarships.
Yes.
To do competitions, I know it helped me pay for schooling. And so you are able to use your skill to, you know, take into your adulthood. So that's
that lifelong love of music that we're trying to imbue people with, you know, whether you start at kindergarten or it doesn't really matter what age you started at. We're trying to imbue that love of music to.
That's right.
Very nice. Okay, so music can move us to the heights or the depths of emotion. It can persuade us to buy something. It can remind us of a first date. It can lift us out of depression like nothing else can. It can get us dancing to the beat. But the power of music goes beyond that. Music occupies much of our brain, and there's a lot of research that's being done about that right now, very interesting. Humans, Oliver Sacks said, is a musical species from his work, Musicophilia. And so I thought it'd be interesting to talk about this idea of musical species. Leonie, let's start with you. What do you think of the term? What do you think of the term?
You know,
and how
it's
are we musical species?
It's interesting that that's come up today in his book. In a way, we've been doing it, but we haven't used that term. I used to think of it in relationship to nature, that we hear sounds in nature. We hear wind blowing through trees. We hear birds singing. We hear animals on the water or whatever, and you can use those sounds to your own advantage, whatever you want to do with it. You could try to imitate them. You can use them in your own compositions. Those are called, or you can found sounds. Yeah. You can find those and use them in different ways. And then I got to thinking about, we are the only species that creates. The human species is the creative species. And so we can, that's when we talk about what kind of a species are we, we're the creative species. You know? Right. We can make music, we can make all kinds of things. So that makes a lot of sense. It's just, you know, just musical species. I just hadn't thought about it that way.
Thoughts? Well, and then along that lines, you know, we are the expressive species. You know, music first date, or everybody who's married probably has a famous song. This is our song. But it's always, people can relate to music and use it as a form of comfort, of therapy, to celebrate. Communicate. I know at my school we get students all the time who can't even speak English, but through music they can participate, they can feel involved with their class. I have students who will be peer mentors to them because they may speak the language or they may speak close to the same language. You can use music to give people hope, to give encouragement, to release energy. I mean, how many have taught boys? And boys have energy, and so we were talking earlier about, you let them move. Movement is huge in my class. I believe in movement. I believe in incorporating dance in your singing, counting, and doing all of that. It develops, all the different areas of the brain. I also, as a music species, allow them to create. In class we do games, we do composer projects. They get to, one year they compose their own stomp version where they made their own instruments. You talk about sounds, they had to come up with sounds and we put it all together in a piece. And so it's just, we are the ones who can imitate the sounds, express sounds. I have boys that do the worm, who hip hop and rap, and who knows what's going to come out next, but we try to keep up with what's current, and that's the fun thing about who we are. It's something that connects us.
Very good.
Right.
Yeah.
The one thing that I would add to this that I just love this whole thing is, we say, are we musical? Are we innately musical? And you think about the heartbeat. That's the steady beat, and then we learn about the steady beat and rhythm and melody and so forth, but it all stems from that, and I think that is more than anything telling that yes, we are musical creatures because we're rhythmic,
That's right.
And I always thought it was interesting to find out, why do kids like faster music? Well, their heartbeat's a little faster.
Yeah.
So it's in sync with their bodies, and I think that this is really interesting, an interesting topic. It would be to think more about, how we naturally are musical and rhythmic. And then the other thing that I find really fascinating is the brain research that's being done right now. You mentioned, how music activates your brain, and one of the things that I've learned that I'm just fascinated by and I would like to learn more about is how they say that someone who's improvising, for example, that they measure the brain waves, and they say that 7 or 8 parts of your brain light up when a person is improvising.
Oh, that's awesome.
No activity
Yeah.
activates your brain as much as that. I mean, that's really profound. And so the question would be is, do smart kids do music, or does music make you smart? And I think that would be a really interesting topic because, how we, it would be interesting to find out more about
Well, the study of, what is it that makes the kids smarter? Like,
yes, okay.
Like, math, when you start to analyze music, you subdivide. You have
That's
to
right.
count, and it goes off of your steady
It
heartbeat.
does.
When you learn topics, everybody does it in a rhythm, poems, and I mean, it's just
Yes.
all incorporated.
Yes, it is.
Well, I remember just in the last 10 years, the research that's especially come out of the National Music Educators Conference
Right.
on how kids do so much better in their academic subjects if they're also in a music group. And the groups not only help them with their brain that way, but it helps them to learn to get along better because they're working with a group. It's not just
That's
an
right.
individual.
Well, and then how many of the athletes have to take a dance course to be more coordinated, to be lighter on their feet, or, I mean, it's just so valuable. Music therapy, helping people, reclaim their movement by doing any kind of piano or keyboard. I know, I work with some handicapped students who movement, they may not be able to do the fancy movements, but to be able to move back and forth to the beat, that's huge for them.
It is huge, You think about the movie Awakenings,
Yes.
that specific group who had that illness. The other thing that makes me think about this is just how we have underfunded music now. We've taken away music money from the music education portion, and yet this brain research, I think, could drive the money back into that department, which
Hopefully.
would, hopefully, which would be wonderful, because you know, the aesthetic portion, the aesthetic element of music, how it adds beauty. You know, like in my own education, it added beauty to my day, and I think that that's huge. You know, in adding beauty to a child's day, adding music does that, and it really is worthy of discussing, no doubt. This brain research.
I want to say something about, we've been talking about mostly school and things, but I want to say how important it is to think about from the time their kids are born until they get to
very
school.
good.
I mean, parents need to know, if they don't already, with their little kids weaving from side to side when they're, 6 months old, how important it is to have music in their life then. I mean, when they're, play lullabies for them when they're first born.
You're right.
And that if they get started on music when they're that young, then they'll want to stick with it when they get in school. If
This
they
is
never
huge.
hear it,
Yeah, this is huge.
Well,
there's a
and then I
difference.
also want to say that, I've taught adults how to sing and how to play the piano. It's never too late to start. Anybody can sing. Anybody can do an instrument. And you just work where you're at, and if you can only do one song, you go from there, or one note, you go from there. And I mean, I taught an art teacher back in Montana to sing, because he wanted to sing to his wife when they got married. And I mean, it's just so cool. And teaching students also, high school students or adults, to play by ear,
Very
to
important.
play by chord charts if they want to play in a band. I know for our worship team, we use chord charts. And so I've taught a high school voice student how to play by chord charts. So she sings and plays, which is another skill. And then also trying to teach kids how to harmonize. I mean, it's just, there's so much you can do.
One thing that this made me think of, a trend that I've noticed, and I think that it's a trend worth reversing, is I've noticed that a lot of kids today are not listening to kids' CDs anymore, not listening to some of the simpler folk tunes, which really helps your audiation, helps your ability to take a simple melody and hear it in your head, and then to be able to produce it. And I think that kids today are listening to a lot of pop stuff, which is, it's a genre of music, but if that's the exclusive music that they're listening today, you have to wonder if they're going to develop their ability to pitch development like they could if they were hearing let's say a pentatonic scale where there's just 5 notes, as opposed to another scale which has more and might be more difficult for them to learn. And I'm just wondering today if we need to go back to some of the basic folk songs, kids music when they're young, I'm speaking, in the home before they even come to school, so that they're better prepared to learn, what we are able to teach them and bring out from them. This to me is huge, and just having raised my own kids with those CDs, I see the value in them, and it's a good reminder to parents out there, make sure you're listening to the basic little melodies of our country and things.
I am so glad you said that, Stace, because in all my years, what I've seen is the parents that encourage that when they're little, before they get to school, that those kids keep going.
Great. So we'll move on here. Okay, so music is the common language of all mankind. Disdaining political and economic boundaries, the joys of music form an instantly communicated bond between men everywhere. This is Genichi Kawakami, the president of the Yamaha Music Foundation, for the purpose of music popularization. So Tammy, you are an elementary public school teacher. How diverse is your classroom? And how do you see music as a common language?
Well, as I said earlier, that we have a very diverse school, which is really neat, because I like to have the students bring in some of their culture and share it with our class. We have like Indian, we have Irish, we have Asian. I had a student, I believe it was 2 years ago, brought in a sitar type instrument and played it for all of us. And then I had her play it in the lunchroom for the school. It was just awesome. And they'll wear their clothing. It gives us a chance to also share some of our American culture in class. We talk about values in songs. We celebrate different holidays. We also talk about different subjects. I mean, I try to team teach with some of the teachers, and if they're talking about the water cycle, I teach a song on the water cycle, which all the kids know. We
Neat.
talked about values, and it just allows all of them to feel a part of it. The classical musicians that I have at school, they work on that. They perform during class time. And then the composer unit that I do allows kids who like to do the technical aspect. They can use GarageBand, which is a program that Apple computers have, and my technology teacher, Tara Young, works with me on that. And we teach our kids how to use the GarageBand to compose music. And
Neat.
they have put it in PowerPoints, iMovies when they present composer projects. I allow them to do acting when they do that. So if somebody doesn't really want to act, they can be behind the scenes or they can be the script person. And so it is our PE teacher, John Onishi, he and I work a lot together. We do concerts together. So we do PE movement along with our music, and we work together to make a theme. So the kids really enjoy it. They can all be successful in whatever their interest is.
Very nice. And then, of course, you have, if you're not aware, Theoni is the executive director of the Wilsonville Music Arts Festival. How is it? Okay. And so you have a unique issue on diversity and bringing different cultures together musically. Share on that.
It's our one big project, annual project of the Wilsonville Arts and Cultural Council, our festival. We look for different ethnic and world traditions, cultural and dances and musical groups, so that this continues out of the schools into the community. And if some of those audience members had not yet heard a lot of those things, maybe they would get interested in learning more and teaching their kids more.
Wonderful. Yeah. It's a beautiful thing if you ever can participate in that. That's in June.
Yeah.
That's in June. So.
Well, and then, our principal, we have a new principal, and Kathleen Skidmore, and she brought in our once-a-month assemblies. And so it's all student-run, and except for when I get up and lead the songs. But the kids can sing, the whole school of 800 kids sing a song that I've taught them. In May, we do a sock hop. And then we had a dance team from across the street come over who had performed in California, and they did a 50s dance. So it's involving the community, like she said, and it's just, making it all work, and everybody's participating.
Music is so unifying.
Yes.
And it's a strong feeling when you're all singing together.
And so universal.
And so
Yes.
universal. Very good. That's true. Okay, so we're going to actually get a chance to hear three little musicians here. We're going to welcome up here Emily and Nathan Siravatka and Arnab Das, and they're going to perform some of their music for us. So you guys go ahead. Go ahead. Okay. They need a minute to be cute.
Oh, they forgot.
We have just begun playing to have fun. Just you wait and see. We will surely be playing, singing, lasso, la-ti-do, do-do-do, so me, do-do-do, so me, me, fa, so, me, fa, so, la, do, so, la, do, so. Fa, so, me. Fa, so, me. Re, mi, fa, so. Re, mi, fa, so. La, so. La, so. La, ti, do. La, ti, do.
Right.
Wow. Very nice.
All right, thanks.
Nice job.
Thank
Very
you.
nice. Good. Very good. Now Arnab is going to come and play his solo, and he happens to be a student of Tammy's at Findlay Elementary, so we get to hear from him too.
And next year he's going to be a 3rd grader.
Yay.
That's all right. We can hear it. Good job, Arnab.
Good job. Great. We'd like to thank are we on? No. We'd like to thank TVC TV for the opportunity we had today to share music with you and your family and friends. A special thanks to our panel members and guest performers who have offered us information about the role music plays in their lives. So be sure to play a favorite records, CD, sing a song, or pick out a musical instrument and enjoy making music. Nice being with you today. Thank you.